Welcome back to Shaman King Anime Review Episode 15. This is the 15th episode of the anime, When the Pieces Come Together. Now, we started off where we left off last week, where Anna and Yo's grandfather go into the basement of the Ashura compound and show off a hidden temple that's there, where apparently the original Ho's body is here, but they don't show it per se. They just point out, though, that apparently Ho is a member of the family, but a rogue member. And he decided to go rogue after he visited the land of the gods for some reason. Not really sure why. They say he went rogue for some reason. And, of course, they also mastered the reason why, even though he kind of stopped it, but he also mastered the 5 elements. They mentioned about the pentagram here, which normally for a lot of people, the pentagram is usually associated with Satan, but this is basically the five elements: fire, wind, water, and earth. Yeah, he had somehow mastered this stuff, and this allowed him to control his own soul to basically cause the body transference over the last 1,000 years. That's basically what's explained here. It's also explained that they show off this book that can actually help stop him per se. And somehow Tomoko gets her hand. I think it's Tomoko is one of the spirits. Accidentally knocks a couple pieces of paper out of it, and it unleashes 2 Shinigami, basically 2 demons. No, not deaf people, basically 2 demons. And Anna is able to stop these 2, no problem, thanks to her ghost beads that she's able to basically subdue them, no problem. And then Asura's grandfather orders her take that book, and Tamako to go see Yo. Of course, she does, no problem. And of course, then we see Yo's grandmother there, where she talks about you compliments her. You taught her well. And he's like, "Yep, she was my star pupil after all." Now, I should point out though, for this particular scene, that this whole opening sequence is basically straight from the manga. Not really much change here. They do make a slight change now. Also, Tamako had been watching them. And when she kind of doubted Yo's ability to win the Shaman fight, Anna slapped her, which they actually show the slap on screen. In the manga, there's definitely a slap per se, but they don't show it. And of course, Tamako goes with her. In case you're curious though, how does Anna basically catch up with Yo? Menta, of course, he basically pays for the plane ticket. Yes, he does. And it was talking to me with Yo. Next, you see Yo. He's on a snowman, which they cut out like 5 pages of the manga of a bit of a sequence where, from what I can tell, they kind of in a way transfer some dialogue from that particular scene to this one here. There was a whole scene of the 5 of them basically in the back of a pickup truck going to the next town. Here, they're already on the mountain, and basically Hariho basically is like his snowboards were fully repaired after Lyra basically actually destroyed the last episode. Well, at least he wrecked it. And of course, things fixed. He decided to go some snowboarding. Ren decides basically explore town, but they want to explore his ruins, but not by Hero. And that's last we see of them. Yeah, Yo, who's the main character of the series, and yet he doesn't get much screen time. This is something you cannot blame the anime on. No, this is basically, you can blame it on the manga, because the next thing that happens here in this episode is something the original anime never bothered with this thing. For some unknown reason, they skipped over this particular set of chapters. Yes, where Haru basically falls on the mountain. He basically complimented Morphine to being cute, and Kurt basically, his guardian spirit, basically abandoned him. She became sad. And he falls to the mountain. Apparently, he survives somehow, and his legs are broken. That's why they can't move, no problem. And he's basically found when he wakes up later with his legs basically broken. That's why they can't move. His adamant ends up in his head. And then we see a beautiful woman coming to basically check on him. Now, this woman turns out to be, her name is Bluebell. She is a park ranger. And she basically, of course, helps her after he decides to leave after basically thanking her for taking care of him. He decides to leave. but she tries to stop him. Now, in the manga, she tries to stop him with a shotgun, which they cut this out of the anime. My guess is the reason why, because they're going to use a gun later, so why use the whole thing of using a shotgun more than once? Because in the manga, she shot at him in order to stop him. They probably want to save her a little bit later, despite the fact she does use a shotgun. They do cut one minor thing out here, which I'll get to that. So she just explained there's actually a bear out there. A particularly very dangerous bear named Apollo that has got a shotgun scar on his face. Basically like a row map on his face. And so Haruho decides to change out of this outfit he was wearing to this other attire. And he goes basically to have a drink with the bear. And of course, she of course easily finds out the fact that he left. Basically just changed her clothes, put on the park ranger suit, and went after him. Now in the anime, she doesn't exactly wear the ball cap she wears in the manga. In the manga, she wears a ball cap. I think in the anime, she wears like a regular ranger hat. So he basically decides to, have a drink, basically, with the bear. Sake. And, of course, the bear beats the crap out of him. Yes, this basically does happen to people. The people can't get beaten by a bear. And after basically understanding him, of course, in the anime, like in the manga, she attempts to nearly run him over with her frickin' Jeep. In the anime, that doesn't happen. She actually stops just before she does that. So it's almost like any violence that she does to him in the manga is completely cut out for some strange reason. Yeah, there's not really explained reason for this. Yeah, honestly, able to use violence, no problem on people, but not this park ranger. Nope, can't have her fire a shotgun or use her freaking car, nearly run over Haruho to stop him. Of course, he does explain that he comes from a tribe that were his bears as gods, which this actually is true for the manga. After chatting for a while, and of course, then eventually he's, of course, is bleeding in the arm. Then, of course, the bear starts licking, and of course, then they start, and then, now, this is something you change here. There's another change to make here. That in the manga, he basically is holding the sake. In the anime, he isn't. Like, as soon as he starts attending the bear stands up, and then the bear is shot in the head by a poacher. And when he finds out, when Haruho finds out that this poacher does it for a hobby and ends up doing it for food, he gets angry. And somehow his spirit comes back to him, and apparently comes up with another piece of tool, and he proceeds to incapacitate the poacher. Not kill them per se. He's not killer. He just angry and basically incapacitates them. And then later on, basically, it's shown that they actually buried the bear with his headband on top. Yeah, he probably has a spare headband. But then she basically puts her hands on his shoulders, basically to grieve for the death of this particular bear. He says basically that the reason why the bear acts the way he does is because he was deemed outcast due to, the scar and of the human smell on him. That's the reason why he acts like this, because he basically is deemed an outcast. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Now, I do appreciate the anime keeping a lot of the dialogue in from the manga. I think some of the changes are a bit unnecessary. I mean, what is so wrong with having basically a woman fire a gun in the series? It makes some freaking sense. Or basically make a joke of the fact that in the manga, she basically runs the car. He's a bit flying, but he's not hurt by it at all. No, because he's a freaking shaman. Yes, but this basically was done really well. The ending I at least appreciate that was not played for laughs, and it was not turned to a joke because a bear died. But this definitely was a good episode. And I'm very appreciative that the anime actually had bothered to adapt this particular set of chapters, because the original one, because if you ever watch the original anime for Shaman King, they skip over this. They don't bother with this at all. Like, it seems like if you watch the original anime, they're on their own for a little bit, and then they're automatically at the Shaman King fight for pretty much the rest of the series. Yeah, this is something I think I felt, a lot of people probably felt this, though, probably what turned people off from the anime, because you basically skip over a good chunk of the manga just to get to the Shaman King fight so badly. And of course, the anime went for an original ending. which that's not always very cool. There's one series I have heard that people do want to see an original ending for. This one, when it was announced this was adapted for a series, they did say that when it gets to the final episode, they are going to adapt the manga ending for the series, not an anime original ending. But who knows? We're only 15 episodes in, and there is basically, I think, about 37 left. Yeah, 37 episodes left to go for the whole series. Now, the series will probably wrap up by March of next year. That's my personal guess. But this is definitely a series, basically, I will still continue taking forward. And I at least appreciate that the anime is adapted this far. Though I do have one minor criticism for the anime, is the fact that chapters 3 through 5 were never adapted for the series. Not from what I can tell. No, they basically skipped over it. But if you compare to the series to the original one, it seems like at the start of it, it seems like it's very similar to the original anime. But after like the first 2 or 3 episodes, it basically there's a lot of stuff here you see in this anime that the original one just skipped over for no reason at all. And this anime has done a really good job, despite the fact, yes, they do adapt more than 2 or 3 chapters. An episode like this episode, for example, adapts freaking 5 chapters. Because here's the thing when it comes to Shaman King. The manga has been over for years. The manga started back in 1998 and wrapped up in 2004. Yes, it wrapped up in 2004. Yep, 2004. That was roughly 17 years ago. So, you cannot claim the anime is catching up with the manga too quickly. The manga's been gone for almost 20 years, so there's no reason why it can't do this. Though the weird thing is, the original anime, when it ended, it started toward the end of the original manga and had a few years left of it. And it only lasted for a full year, and then the manga ended 2 years after the original anime did. Mm-hmm. Yes, the manga ended 2 years after the original anime did. Though in the case of this one, this is coming roughly 17 years after the original one. And it is great, though, the fact they actually bothered to continue with the anime. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about this particular anime. Well, at least for this episode anyways. It's good, and I can't wait for next week. So, yes, that is particularly it for this particular review. Now, tomorrow, as far as I can tell, the only video I'm probably do tomorrow is probably going to be a review for Doctor Who. Basically reviewing the new DVD I got. Aside from that, there's no other anime scheduled for tomorrow. If there is, it would be a surprise. So, release any video. I think I'll get back to it today. Probably not, even though I got a few episodes left. Yeah, so expect to see a review of Doctor Who tomorrow, alright? Next video. Bye.